The alien council gathers in mockery and disbelief as Earth's ancient warships emerge from hiding. What seemed like a primitive, backward species now threatens the balance of power with relics older than empires themselves. The galaxy's arrogance will soon shatter. The chamber hummed with cold arrogance. High Priest Velkar leaned forward, antennae twitching in amusement. "Primitive Earthlings," he hissed, hiding beneath their dust, clutching stones while the rest of the galaxy soared. They thought themselves forgotten, obsolete. His counselors chuckled darkly. What ancient threat could they possibly muster? Their tech is archaic, their fleets laughable. Velkar's voice dropped, eyes narrowing. Yet, here they come. Ships older than the first Galactic Union itself, Titan relics from a forgotten age. The hologram flickered, revealing ghostly silhouettes of colossal warships, monuments of iron and fire that had lain dormant for millennia. Their hulls bore scars from battles no star system remembered. Antiquities, another counselor scoffed. Monuments to a dead past. Velkar's gaze sharpened, or a reckoning. In the silence, the chamber's massive viewport showed the distant shimmer of Earth's fleet breaking free of its shadow. The ships moved with slow, deliberate grace, their designs brutal and simple, guns that could rip through shields and armor without ceremony. The council fell quiet. Velkar tapped a claw. History is a weapon, and Earth has been sharpening theirs. In silence, silence. The word hung in the air, a taunt. A junior officer burst into the chamber, breathless. High Priest. Sensors detect the Arkstone-class vessels emerging from orbit. They're deploying ancient kinetic weapons, artillery bigger than our dreadnoughts. Velkar smiled thinly. Let them come. They think their relics are rust. We will show them what the future fears. He turned, addressing the council with icy certainty. They have been silent too long. Now they speak in thunder. The alien council chambers shook with a sudden tremor, the precursor to war. Do we attack? Whispered a young strategist, fear lacing his voice. Velkar's eyes gleamed. No, we watch. We learn. Because what humanity had hidden wasn't just old tech. It was history's last laugh. Back on Earth, Commander Jax Morin stood aboard the bridge of the Arkstone, a battleship forged during humanity's darkest era, a warship older than many of the empires now scoffing at them. Fleet. Status? Morin asked, voice steady but grim. Lieutenant Sarah Vega replied, all systems green. The relics hum with power. The galaxy won't believe what we're bringing. Jax let the weight of those words sink in. The Arkstone was not just a ship. It was a symbol. A promise. We don't need to be the loudest or the fastest, Morin said quietly. Just the last one standing. The moment stretched, then came a flash, a silent, terrible flash. The alien fleet scrambled, their scanners overwhelmed by the Arkstone's ancient weaponry. Massive projectiles tore through the void, each impact like the roar of 1,000 suns. Alien ships shattered. Velkar's smug facade cracked into something darker. They thought it was mercy, and it wasn't. The chamber fell silent. The galaxy had underestimated silence, and the warships older than empires had just begun to speak. They laughed. Then they stopped. They thought it was mercy. It wasn't. The Varexians reel from their first encounter with Earth's ancient warships, struggling to comprehend the brutal simplicity and unyielding resilience of human technology. As alien commanders debate tactics, human crews prepare silently for a war their enemies barely understand, a war fought not just with firepower, but with unshakable will. The Varexian command deck was a storm of confusion. General Yukleth slammed his clawed fist onto the holographic table, the flickering star maps reflecting the panic in his glowing eyes. How is this possible? These relics, these ancient rust piles. They shred our drones like paper. Primitive, hissed Commander Visrek, his mandibles twitching with disdain. Yet somehow, devastating. Yuklev threw his head back, a sound somewhere between a growl and a laugh escaping. They fight with brutal simplicity. No shields, no fancy quantum cloaks. Just raw metal and iron, and it works. Like the weapons of the old wars, muttered a junior officer, eyes wide. Exactly, Yurklav snapped. And we forgot how to fight those wars. We've grown soft, drowning in our arrogance. In the quiet hum of the Arkstone's engine room, engineer Sarah Viga wiped grease from her brow and stared at the old tech humming beneath her fingers. The massive reactor core pulsing with life, just as it had 100 years ago. People think this is junk, she muttered, but this is what won wars. Not fancy tricks, but guts and grit. Nearby, young pilot Rick Jensen tightened his gloves, eyes scanning the incoming alien fleet on the viewport. You think they'll expect this? That we'd come out swinging with these monsters? Viga shook her head. No. They think Earth's still primitive. That silence means weakness. Rick smiled grimly. They're about to learn silence means something else. Back on the Varexian flagship Keltirian, the Alien Council argued strategy. Hit their supply lines. Starve them out, Visrek demanded. They cannot sustain such ancient vessels. Wrong, Yurklav countered. They aren't fighting for supply chains. They fight for something else, something deeper. A younger strategist whispered, their minds, they endure in silence. Waiting, watching, waiting to strike, Yurklav growled. And when they do, it will be total. On the bridge of the Arkstone, Commander Jax Morin surveyed the battle reports, his jaw tight. Enemy fleet is massing around the nebula edge, he said. They're trying to draw us out. Lieutenant Viga tapped the console. Sensors are still jittery. The Varexians have new electronic interference, something we haven't seen before. Morin narrowed his eyes. Then we do what humans always do. We adapt. He turned to the comm panel, voice low but resolute. All units, prepare for close engagement. This is no dance in the stars, it's a knife fight. The Keltirian's engineers scrambled to counteract the sudden surge of old-school weaponry. The Varexians' advanced systems blinked and failed, under barrages of kinetic artillery. Shields at 20% and falling. A panicked officer reported. Our drones are being shredded in seconds. Yuklev stared at the displays, disbelief cracking his voice. The humans don't rely on shields? Their weapons punch through ours? Visrek's mandibles snapped. It's barbaric, primitive, and terrifying. Yuklev's voice dropped. It's effective. This is a war we forgot how to fight. The humans move through the nebula like ghosts. Pilot Rick Jensen's voice crackled over the comm. Visual on the enemy. Target locked. Fire, Morin commanded. The fleet erupted in thunderous volleys of metal and fire, star shells tearing through the mist, explosions blooming like dying stars. The Varexians faltered, their formations. Breaking dot in the thick of battle, aboard the Dauntless. A chilling phenomenon began to unfold. The mimic a shadow entity that had embedded itself in the ship's core, whispered in fragments through the ship's comm channels. They think silence is weakness, it hissed. They haven't heard the quiet before the storm. Crew members shuddered as the ship pulsed with an eerie glow, systems flaring unpredictably. Back on the Varexian command deck, confusion spiraled into panic. Communications are down. An officer cried. Electronic warfare, but different. Our tech is failing inside their systems, Visrek growled. Yurklev's eyes darkened. This is no ordinary enemy. They don't fight like we expect. Then what do they fight like? Visrek spat. Like humans, Yurklav whispered. They fight with history, with silence. with the weight of everything we've forgotten. Ah! Sudden alert snapped Morin's attention. Incoming transmission. The communications officer said, voice tense, static, then a voice cold, distant, yet unmistakably human. Remember this. They thought it was Mercy. Morin's fingers clenched the console, and it wasn't. The nebula's mist swallowed the fleets again, both sides caught in the silence, waiting. The war was just beginning. They laughed. Then they stopped. They thought it was Mercy. It wasn't. As the battle drags on, the Varexians confront the horrifying reality of human warship resilience and unpredictable tactics. On board the Arkstone, the crew faces not only alien fire but the creeping fear of what lies within their own ancient machines. In the void, silence becomes a weapon darker than any cannon. The void held its breath. Commander Jax Morin paced the BIA bridge of the Arkstone, eyes sharp behind the low light. The eerie silence between volleys gnawed at him. Not just the silence of space, no. This was something else. A silence laden with meaning. Lieutenant Vega broke the quiet. Sir, sensors are detecting fluctuations in the ship's core. It's as if something's moving beneath the systems. Morin's jaw clenched. Explain. Not mechanical, sir. More like a presence. It's subtle, but it's there. Like a ghost, Rick Jensen added, his usually cocky tone now subdued. Morin ran a hand over his face. We don't have ghosts. Not anymore. Across the void, aboard the Keltirian, General Yutcliffe's composure was cracking. The Varexian fleet had lost half its drones, their advanced systems overwhelmed by the brutal simplicity of Earth's weapons. This is madness, Yurkloth growled. Their ships old as dust, slow as stone should be easy prey. Yet they endure, hissed Commander Visrek. They adapt faster than we can track. It's as if their ships think. Yukloth antenna twitched. Or their crews do. They have something we don't. History. A past that refuses to die. On the Arkstone, tension thickened. The mimic's influence was subtle but creeping. A flicker on a screen here, a strange static whisper there. Engineer Vega isolated a spike of interference in the power core. If that thing burrows deeper, it could collapse the whole ship. Morin stepped in, voice low but fierce. We're not letting that happen. Then we fight it, Vega said, eyes burning. This isn't just an enemy outside. It's inside. Back in the alien command chamber, the Varexian Council debated their failing strategy. You overestimate your strength, Velkar sneered over a comlink to Yurkloth. Your primitive weapons cannot match the Varexian fleets. Yurkloth's voice was grim. Your arrogance blinds you. Humans fight with silence and madness. They endure where others break. Velkar laughed coldly. Endurance is no match for firepower. Then we shall see, Yurkloth snapped. But beware when silence breaks, it is a scream. Suddenly, alarms blared across the Arkstone. Multiple hull breaches. Shouted the damage control officer. Unknown origin, Morin swore. They're boarding us. How? Rick Jensen's voice came over the comm, breathless. Small pods cloaked. They're inside the nebulous shadows, Morin's mind raced. Deploy countermeasures, seal all bulkheads. But the boarding parties were relentless. Down in the lower decks, a firefight erupted between human marines and alien infiltrators. Sparks flew, shots echoed off cold steel walls. Marine Sergeant Alina Vale radioed up, voice tight. They think silence will scare us. It won't. One of the alien boarders paused, confused by the lack of panic. Vale grinned through the comm. Fear is a weapon we wield better. On the bridge, Morin stared at the flickering monitors. Every time we think we've pushed them back, they find a new shadow to crawl out from. Vega frowned. That mimic, it's adapting too fast. It's learning us. Morin's eyes hardened. Then we give it a lesson. He pressed a button. Initiate self-destruct sequence in the affected sectors. Sometimes you have to burn the forest to kill the fire. The Varexian fleet recoiled as massive blasts radiated from the Arkstone. The old warship's relic tech exploded in a calculated sacrifice, taking boarding pods and alien drones with it. Yerkleth watched helplessly. They used destruction as creation. It's madness. Or genius, Visrek whispered. They fight not for survival, but to break us. Hours bled into days. The battle became a war of shadows and silence. A low hum spread through the Arkstone. Mimics pulse, trying to synchronize with the ship systems. Vega studied the patterns, desperation creeping into her voice. It's like it's learning our fears, Morin nodded slowly. Fear is the oldest weapon of all, but so is courage. In a moment of quiet, Vega turned to Morin. What if we let it learn? Only to trap it? Morin's eyes gleamed. A gambit worthy of humanity. He keyed a command. Prepare the ghost net quantum traps designed to isolate the mimic signal. If we can contain it, we control the battle. Back on the Varexian flagship, Yerkleth convened his commanders. The humans are more than relics. They are a living weapon. Visrek's voice cracked. Their silence is an abyss, and we stare into it blind. Yerkleth's final words echoed through the chamber. Prepare for the end. Because when silence breaks, it will not be mercy. The void pulsed with anticipation, and humanity's ancient warships sailed on silent, unstoppable, terrifying. They laughed. Then they stopped. They thought it was mercy. It wasn't. The mimic's presence grows stronger, twisting the Arkstone's ancient systems and sowing paranoia among the crew. As Commander Morin struggles to maintain order, the Varexian seize on humanity's vulnerability, escalating their assault. Both sides face the nightmare of silent war, where trust is shattered and shadows speak louder than guns. Commander Jax Morin stood alone in the dim-lit corridor, the low hum of the Arkstone's core vibrating through the steel beneath his boots. The ship felt different now, like a beast unsettled, restless. He glanced over his shoulder. How bad is it, Vega? Engineer Sarah Vega didn't look up from the console, eyes darting across data streams that danced like living things on the screen. It's worse than we thought. The mimics integrating deeper into the ship's systems. Every control panel, every sensor, it's in them all. Morin swallowed. Can we isolate it? Not yet. It's learning, adapting faster than our countermeasures can keep up. Her voice cracked slightly, exhaustion bleeding through her. Usual stoic tone. The ship shuddered, lights flickering briefly. Every system it touches, Vega said, it's like it whispers secrets to the ship itself. Secrets we never meant to hear. Morin rubbed his face. So it's not just attacking the Arkstone, it's becoming the Arkstone. Vega nodded grimly. And if it controls the ship, it controls us. Then we fight back harder, Morin said. We can't lose this ship. A sudden alarm shrieked through the corridor, an emergency lockdown. Boarders, a voice crackled from the com. Multiple intrusions detected in Sector 7. Repeat, Sector 7. Morin's jaw tightened. Already? I thought we shook them off. Vega's fingers flew over her console. The mimic's interference is helping them. Disrupting our sensors, masking their approach. Morin's eyes darkened. They're using our silence against us. Deep in the lower decks, Marine Sergeant Alina Vale led her squad through narrow passageways slick with oil and flickering with dying lights. Alien infiltrators moved like shadows, silent and deadly. They think we'll break, Vale whispered. They're wrong. A sharp crack echoed, a stun blast hitting a wall inches from her head. Return fire. Don't let them get to the command core. Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled slightly. The mimic's creeping influence. was a poison that clawed at morale. Meanwhile, aboard the Varexian flagship, General Yakleth watched the human transmissions with growing unease. "They fight like ghosts," he muttered. "But their fear, their desperation. It feeds something deeper." Commander Visrek's mandibles twitched. "The mimic. It's more than a parasite. It's a weapon." Yercliff nodded slowly. "A weapon born of silence and madness." Back on the Arkstone, Morin convened a meeting with his senior officers in the war room. "Status," he demanded. Lieutenant Vega sighed. "The mimic is everywhere. Our electronic defenses are failing. The boarding parties are exploiting every weakness." Morin clenched his fists. "We need a new plan." Rick Jensen spoke up, voice sharp with urgency. "What? If we use the mimic against itself? Trap it in a quantum feedback loop, make it overload." Vega looked skeptical. "High risk. If it fails, we could lose the whole ship." Morin's eyes flicked from Vega to Jensen. "Sometimes the only way to silence the whisper is to shout back louder." The Arkstone's engines hummed louder as preparations began. The crew moved with purpose, though unease simmered beneath their disciplined fronts. Morin checked his comms. "All units, brace for feedback loop initiation." "Confirmed," Vega answered, fingers flying over her console. At the edge of the battlefield, the Varexian fleet surged forward, sensing weakness in the human lines. Yercleth's voice boomed through the comm. "Now is the time to break their resolve. Hit the Arkstone hard." Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers as alien firestorm rained down. But the Arkstone was ready. Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently. Lights flickered and dimmed. "Feedback loop online," Vega announced, voice strained. Morin gritted his teeth. "Hold the line. Don't let the mimic break free." A tense silence fell across the bridge. Then the unexpected. A wave of static surged through the ship's systems, followed by a pulse of alien whispers, mimic's voice flooding the comm channels. They thought it was Mercy. The whisper echoed, chilling and cold. Morin's voice cut through the dread. It wasn't. The mimic screamed, a digital wail of rage and confusion as its core. Algorithms spun wildly. The quantum trap snapped shut. Systems across the Arkstone stabilized. Screens clearing. Vega sighed, relief flooding her face. "It's trapped. For now." Morin leaned back, exhaustion catching up. "We bought time, but in the void beyond," Yercleth snarled. "You trap silence and you unleash its scream." His fleet surged again. In the eerie quiet after battle, Morin looked out into the endless stars. The Arkstone had survived the mimic's whisper, but the war was far from over. They laughed. Then they stopped. They thought it was Mercy. It wasn't. The final confrontation unfolds as human resilience meets alien desperation. The mimic's grip threatens to consume the Arkstone, but humanity's last gambit turns the tide. The Varexians face the terrifying truth of Earth's silence, not weakness, but a brutal, unyielding force. The war ends, but the echoes of Mercy lost linger in the void. The Arkstone groaned as systems flickered and dimmed. The mimic, trapped but thrashing, pulsed violently inside the ship's core. "Commander." Morin's voice was steady, almost calm, over the comm. "This ends now." Engineer Vega's hands moved swiftly, setting the final parameters on the ship's self-isolation field designed to quarantine the mimic completely. It was a cage, a prison forged from Earth's oldest tech and humanity's fiercest will. Once it activates, Vega warned, the ship will cut off all external systems. "We'll be blind and deaf until it's over," Morin nodded. "Better blind than broken." Outside, the Varexian fleet hesitated. Their weapons were powerful, but their confidence was shaken. General Yercleth's voice cut through the silence. "Sharp and broken. They endure. They do not break." This is not a war of firepower, it is a war of silence. Prepare to withdraw, he ordered, voice heavy with defeat. We cannot fight shadows with swords. Inside the Arkstone, the crew braced as the isolation field hummed to life, the mimics thrashing growing desperate. The ship's corridors fell silent. No alarms, no chatter. Just the faint, haunting pulse of ancient engines. Morin closed his eyes for a moment. They thought it was mercy. His voice dropped. It wasn't. Hours passed. Time became meaningless in the silence. Then, systems slowly flickered back online. The mimic was subdued. Vega exhaled, relief washing over her face. We won. For now. Morin gazed out the viewport at the dark void. Earth's silence was no weakness. It was a shield forged from millennia of survival, unyielding, implacable. Varexian fleet retreated. Their arrogance shattered. They had scanned the human warship and seen something terrifying. Not an ancient relic. A force of nature. They laughed. Then they stopped. They thought it was mercy. It wasn't.